The Twin Cities' most watched newscast, News 11. With Joan Steffend, Kevin McDowell, Randy Shaver on sports, and meteorologist Dennis Felkin.
Good evening, everybody. Kevin has the night off. Topping tonight's News 11, a major Twin Cities hospital is rethinking its policy on abortion.
St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center is close to a decision which might end its abortion service.
Ramsey has been pressured by pro-life activists for 8 months to close its abortion clinic. The confrontation began 8 months ago in January when Pro-Life Action Ministries began organizing marches in front of the hospital. In March, the hospital board voted to stop performing abortions, which have been available there for many years. But in June, the board reversed the decision, allowing the public to write to them their opinions on abortion. Tonight, as News 11's Asha Blake reports, the protesters may soon get their way.
Protesters sang loudly about the toppling of the walls of Jericho because their march today was a reenactment of that biblical event.
We are going to march on the hospital grounds around the building, symbolically looking for the walls of abortion to go down in this hospital.
Marchers have stepped up their efforts to stop abortions at the hospital because the medical center is considering changing its abortion policy soon.
Well, I think that's good. I think that when God's people stand up, it does make a difference.
A 12-member super board is taking public comment on what the hospital should do about the abortion issue. So far, thousands of letters have poured into the tabulation office. And protesters hope those words and their actions today will convince the hospital to stop performing abortions.
It's a way to tangibly be involved. And it's clear that with the decision that is at least being considered, we feel like in being here, you are going to have an effect on a problem that seems beyond you.
Hospital Vice President Diane Schmidt says the protests are causing the hospital to rethink its policies. Schmidt also says the stress of the demonstrations is becoming too much for patients and hospital staff.
The Super Board plans to meet in the first part of September to take a look at all their public survey comments. And then they say a decision on whether they're going to ban abortions here at the hospital will be made about 3 weeks after that. Asha Blake, News 11, St. Paul.
And anti-abortion protesters say if abortions are not banned at Ramsey, they will do what they can to shut the hospital down.
Minneapolis police say tonight a man busted in a drug sweep at a luxury high-rise will face charges on Monday. The man was let out of an apartment building on Southeast Thornton Street last night in handcuffs. Police say they found narcotics in his possession. This arrest follows an aggressive week of drug busts in the city. And police continue to build their case after finding more than a kilo of cocaine and crack in a major bust this week. Police say they have videotape showing members of the Los Angeles street gang The Bloods dealing drugs, and charges against as many as 13 suspects might come Monday.
A Minnesota meat packer is recalling some products tonight that could make consumers sick. North Star Foods of St. Charles is recalling 200,000 pounds of turkey and ham because they are undercooked. If eaten, the turkey could cause salmonella, a form of food poisoning. The ham could cause trichinosis, which can be caused by microscopic worms in infected pork. No illnesses have been reported, but consumers should return packages of North Star turkey bologna, turkey rolls, and cooked ham. We know a little bit more tonight about the investigation into the Unisys Corporation. A Minneapolis federal court released a limited set of documents today. In June, FBI investigators searched 3 Unisys buildings in Eagan, part of a nationwide investigation into contract bid rigging and influence buying. The documents did not say if any property was seized or who the object of the investigation was. The FBI believed the buildings may have been used as centers for mail and wire fraud.
George Bush tonight gave his full support for his running mate Dan Quayle, even though the Republican campaign is clouded by Quayle's military past. Signs calling Quayle a chicken for going into the National Guard in 1969 instead of the Vietnam War were shown to the candidates today in Ohio. But Bush says Quayle served the country with honor by going into the Guard, and he's getting tired of rumors.
Run down rumor after insidious rumor. And that's what happened, and it preoccupied my very able staff for about 12 hours. Well, they got the facts and ran down each spurious rumor after rumor.
Meantime, the director of the Indiana National Guard says Quayle probably didn't have to wait to join up in 1969, indicating no wrongdoing. And President Reagan, in his weekly radio address, threw all his support to the Bush-Quayle bid.
The Democratic candidates are keeping mum about the controversy surrounding Quayle as their campaign took them to Texas. Michael Dukakis and his running mate Lloyd Bentsen paid a social call on former First Lady Lady Bird Johnson, and the two were welcomed at a rally nearby. Bentsen says the Republican ticket offers little to those who have followed President Reagan.
What you're saying with Governor Dukakis is reaching for that center. And what we're saying is to Democrats who voted for Reagan, come home.
And there's talk about the affection Michael and Kitty Dukakis display in public rubbing off on the Bush campaign. Insiders are saying George and Barbara Bush should show the kind of warmth the Democratic first couple often show.
Muscular dystrophy is a disease affecting thousands, and tonight our community is doing something to help find a cure. At Stillwater State Prison, inmates helped Jerry's kids by buying food and playing games. Dozens of bands performed, donating their time and music, including the group The Weebles. All proceeds of the event go to the Labor Day MDA Telethon. And in Maplewood, the Minnesota Street Machine Association is showing off cars of the 60s while conducting a raffle for a classic 1969 Chevy Chevelle. Proceeds of the raffle go to the MDA, and the drawing will be held tomorrow. And a group gathered tonight at the Red Rooster Lounge in Maplewood to bid on a number of items, with those proceeds going to Jerry's kids.
32 and a half, somebody. That's $30, 32 and a half. That's 32 and a half.
The group has gathered every year for 6 years for this auction, as hundreds of items went up for bids.
The first auction of its kind was held at Canterbury Downs tonight. The big attraction, Minnesota-bred thoroughbreds. News 11's Melissa Young tells us the auction is a benchmark for one of Minnesota's fastest-growing industries.
There's no question buying one of these horses is a gamble. None has ever raced on a track, but the sales organizers have been selective.
We brought in only the most correct conformation horses with the best pedigrees. So buying at this sale gives the horses a much better shot at being successful racehorses.
His half-sister won the 4th race today, and his half-brother is a stakes winner of over $63,000.
Many of those who know horses agree tonight's crop of yearlings is good.
I don't think they take too much of a gamble, because I don't imagine you'll pay any of the astronomical prices that you pay at Keeneland or Saratoga for these. And there is a good program here, and I think that people would probably actually make a good investment.
It's the prospect of finding a bargain that has brought thoroughbred buyers out by the hundreds for this inaugural sale.
I've studied the book pretty well and talked to some different people here, and I'd like to find a nice filly.
But for breeders and buyers alike, there's more at stake here than just picking a winner. Tonight's sale is the first real test of Minnesota's thoroughbred horse industry, an industry that just 6 years ago had just over a dozen farms producing less than 50 Minnesota-bred horses. Today, those figures have skyrocketed, with more than 600 yearlings just this year. One of those is this filly, considered one of the better horses in the sale. Richard Reese ended up buying her for $16,000. He was impressed with her bloodlines, but like all these horses, and like the Minnesota horse industry, it's too soon to tell what her full potential is. Melissa Young, News 11, Shakopee.
The auction is expected to bring in an estimated $500,000.
The Minnesota Vikings are on their way to Phoenix at this hour for their first ever game to be played there. They left the Twin Cities International a few hours ago, and they're on their way to Arizona for a preseason game against the Phoenix Cardinals. And you can see tomorrow's game live on KARE-11. Tune in at 7 o'clock, and you'll have the best seat in the house.
Still ahead tonight on News 11, a Minnesota football player who now finds his home field in Phoenix.
Also tonight, one woman's fight for rights after a terrible crime and a painful process.
Is your lawn near death? And if so, how can it live?
And
tonight we hear from an expert.
And we'll take you back a few years for some soulful sounds.
At Kemp's, we've been working hard to make our new frozen yogurt 97% fat-free. Kemp's low-fat frozen yogurt in 4 natural fruit flavors, so smooth and refreshing, you won't believe it's only 80 calories a serving.
The word's out. Lots of people are making great deals during Hyundai's Macon Tracks clearance. And why not? Excels are packed with more than 70 standard features. Plus, you can get options like cool air conditioning. And there's a full range of models under $7,000. But the Macon Tracks clearance ends soon. So you better hurry in for a test drive today. We'll do our best to get out of your way. Test drive the durable Hyundai Excel at Midway Hyundai and Brooklyn Park Hyundai.
Two things in life I love, acting and animals. And if Major Houlihan ever makes Colonel, believe me, there's going to be a new regulation. No more dogs riding in the back of open pickups. Sure, I know the arguments. Dogs enjoy the open air, they like to go places, love being with their owners, all true. But it's unsafe for the animal, downright dangerous at times because there's nothing to keep him from being tossed about or even thrown out when the pickup starts up or stops suddenly, to say nothing about what could happen in an accident. If you don't believe the threat to life and limb, ask your veterinarian. No doubt he's seen the serious and even permanently disabling injuries that can result. So please do me a favor. When you take your pet along for a ride, be sure he's on the inside, protected, as you are. It's the least you can do for a friend, right?
At Kemp's, we never know when the inspiration for a unique ice cream flavor will strike us. This summer, it's peaches and cream, a delicious limited edition ice cream from Kemp's.
Pakistan tonight is remembering the late President Zia, who ruled that country longer than any other leader. 200,000 mourners line the streets of Islamabad for Zia's burial today. As his casket was carried along streets, police violently controlled the crowds and there were no protests. Secretary of State George Shultz eulogized Zia at the wake.
We have come not only to pay our respects to a fallen leader, but to reaffirm our commitment to preserve and strengthen our relationship.
Meantime, the site where Zia's plane crashed this week is sealed off by authorities who believe his plane was sabotaged by an explosion. Witnesses say it crashed.
More deadly trouble in Northern Ireland tops datelines tonight. A bus carrying troops outside of Belfast today hit a landmine and the blast blew apart the bus, killing 7 British soldiers and injuring nearly 30 others. The Irish Republican Army claims responsibility. It was the single most violent attack in Northern Ireland in 3 years. In New York City, Texas oil man Nelson Bunker Hunt and his 2 brothers have been found guilty of manipulating the world's silver market. The Hunt brothers were sued for rigging the precious metals market, and they were ordered to repay a company in Peru $130 million. Other cases are pending. And there was celebrating in the streets of Baghdad today as the ceasefire in the 8-year war between Iran and Iraq brought fighting to an end. Iraq did accuse Iran of violating the pact, but the UN peacekeeping force report no violence. The celebrating began last night and has gone on for hours.
Roy, and now for the vacationing Dennis, and you brought with you a beautiful day today.
Wasn't it nice?
Gorgeous.
And this evening we saw that disc, that scarlet disc in the sky, and a lot of people asked about that. I think a lot of people would say the reason was the same reason that your eyes look that way. There's all kinds of ragweed pollen in the air. I suspect, well, pollutants and a little, that qualifies as pollutants.
Was that it?
Why, of course that's it.
Okay.
Or a little moisture or a little pollution. Actually, if you wanted to, you go out and watch the moon right now because it's doing the same thing to the moon. Go ahead. Now, in the Twin Cities today, a lovely day, an adorable high temperature in the Twin Cities of 82 degrees, and the low last night was 60 at the present time. Oh, there's that orange globe. Cloudy, and the temperature is down to 73 with a southeast wind. The dew point is a comfortable 62, the relative humidity is 68%, and the pressure is rising at 29.88. If we were looking around at sunrise this morning, you would find some cloudiness up in northern Minnesota. Those clouds persisted and moved across northern Minnesota and produced as much as 1 1/3 inches of rain at International Falls. As we advance the sequence of clouds here this evening, we'll find that there's some clouds building over South Dakota. By golly, coming in our direction. We'd best take a look at the radar and see if there is any rain in those clouds. A look at the radar will show us, oh my goodness, yes, there are some high cold tops there. And our next view, which will be the radar along with tonight's surface conditions, shows, yes, there are some strong thunderstorms there in South Dakota. We are not expecting those showers to get here, but there's a chance that they could. We're not expecting that, but there's a chance that they could. I wanted you to remember that so you got the facts there exactly right. This front kept the 100-degree plus temperatures out of the northeast, and a lot of people there were very pleased about that. The temperatures, in fact, didn't get into the triple digits anywhere here in the eastern part of the country, in 90s and even 70s up here. It was getting up into the hundreds to the west. In fact, they're expecting 100 degrees down in Phoenix again tomorrow for football game. And this evening, there are the warm temperatures lingering here in the western part of the 5 states, 80s in South Dakota, while we're mostly in comfortable 60s and 70s right here. And tomorrow's forecast map shows the front in about the same place, so we expect pretty much a partly sunny condition for tomorrow with a chance of some showers. The details of those chances in just a minute.
Have a seat.
I wonder who will be in the presentation. Her?
Who knows you?
Dayton's knows the importance of presentation.
Maybe them.
Tell me who knows you?
That's why we have the looks that present you at your best.
I'm not nervous.
Dayton's knows you. They'll see you now.
Do I look okay?
Are you kidding? Nobody knows you better.
It's time.
Come drive a Mazda.
It's year-end clearance time. Time to get the deal of the year on a new Mazda. And factory-to-dealer cash incentives can add hundreds to your savings on a Mazda truck. It's time. Time to clear out all the 88s. Mazda's year-end clearance time.
Come drive a Mazda.
See your Mazda dealer in Richfield, Brooklyn Center, White Bear, St. Paul, and Minnetonka.
Quality. It's in every cut from Cost Cutters. A great haircut for just $6.95. Another reason people keep coming back to Cost Cutters.
Welcome to Menards Anniversary Sale. We invite you to save on insulated steel entry doors. They have a polyurethane core for insulation, plus magnetic weather stripping, a triple sealed bottom sweep, and thermal break threshold. They're primed and pre-hung on a treated pine frame. On sale in several styles, starting as low as $139. That's steel entry doors on sale now at Menards.
We're helping you build America's heartland at Menards.
We're not expecting those South Dakota showers to get here tonight, but there's a chance they might. So in the forecast details, we will say partly cloudy with toward morning a storm is possible, just possible, 60 to 64 overnight. And then for tomorrow, partly sunny, showers and thunderstorms are a possibility through the day, especially late in the day. A high reading in the mid-80s and breezy too, 15 to 20 mile per hour winds. Look at these cool temperatures as the week begins. Chance of some strong thunderstorms on Monday and some more on Tuesday. Then partly cloudy, but the reading staying well out of the 90s.
I'm going to get this right. It absolutely will storm tonight. There's no question about that. Tonight is good.
Would you say there's a chance that we might have some...
We're not expecting it, but there's a chance.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Folks on Smith Avenue in St. Paul turned their street into one large business today. Quite a bit of cash changed hands at the Bridge and Back neighborhood garage sale. Each side of the street was lined with tables. Everything from clothes to electronics was up for grabs. Organizers say the sale might become an annual event.
At the Ordway in St. Paul, they're enjoying the sounds of the 60s tonight, performed by the Sounds of Blackness. The show is a special tribute to 25 of the top rhythm and blues legends from 20 years ago. Here's a sample.
Cadillac values just keep getting better because right now you can get $1,000 cash back in your pocket on Cadillac DeVille, Fleetwood, and Eldorado, and $1,500 cold hard cash back on Seville and Brome. It's all going down at your Twin Cities Cadillac dealers, but only until August 31st, so hurry over, because with up to $1,500 cash back, it really pays to visit your Twin Cities Cadillac dealer today.
College football, college basketball, the America's Cup. You may recognize my voice, but sportscasters are seldom seen. Hi again, everybody. I'm Jim Kelly. That doesn't mean I don't want to look my best wherever I go. So I buy my suits, slacks, and sport coats at Foreman & Clark. Foreman & Clark stores have thousands of men's garments in all styles, patterns, fabrics, and colors. And the prices are so low, you can afford to build your wardrobe without breaking your budget. For quality men's clothing at affordable prices, stop by the Foreman & Clark store nearest you.
while climbing, secure figure 8 knot to harness.
Motivation is the key to fighting illiteracy.
Take it to the top.
When taking pictures in low light, always use high-speed film.
All right, guys, come on.
In scouting, what you read is what you do.
It's everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. It's everything you've always wanted in a light beer and more. Special Export Light.
The drought of '88 has turned nearly all of Minnesota into a disaster area. Ag Secretary Ling made the announcement today, saying qualified farmers can now apply for low-interest loans to cover part of their crop losses. Minnesota farmers may expect at least $627 million, and that averages out to be about $6,400 in aid to each farm. Koochiching and Lake of the Woods counties are not considered disaster areas because crop loss there was not severe. And drought relief has the Mississippi flowing mightier tonight at 2,000 cubic feet per second. The river has been above the critical mark of 1,000 CFS for more than a week. However, some communities still have watering restrictions in effect.
The St. Paul Farmers Market, celebrating its anniversary tonight, has gone through 135 years of drought and bountiful harvests. The market is a landmark for produce buyers and sellers in St. Paul's Lower Town. Carmen Miranda headwear was for sale at one booth today during the celebration, and the heaviest tomato contest had 3 finalists, each tipping the scales at more than 2 pounds each. Lawn care has been weighing heavily on many homeowners' minds this summer, and bringing the greenery back to life after the drought is a challenge. News 11's Peter Gadara reports tonight hundreds of people checked into an official program on lawns.
Those grasses have got to be...
Many questions were answered in sessions like this one on lawn seeding, while others were answered on what to feed our now growing lawns.
If you weren't going to strip this out,
Ramsey County lawn experts say if your lawn still looks like this one, you'll probably have to rip it up and start over. But if your lawn is growing, they have some advice. The experts say fall is the best time to fertilize, and doing it twice will do the most good. Fall is also the best time to control weeds for next summer. And if your lawn is dead, seed should be put down heavily in September. Now that we've got some rain and the lawns are starting to grow, a lot of people here have questions, including what to do about weeds. Bob Walsh of Highland Park has some of those questions. He brought a bucket of weeds from his own lawn so he can find out how to get rid of them.
You see, after the lawn dried out, browned a little bit. After it turned brown, then this stuff came up.
So Bob asked lawn expert and master gardener John Knipp for advice.
It has a little nut on the bottom. When you pull it up, and that'll stay in the ground and grow again.
It's advice like that will keep weeds like these out of the lawns, making Bob Walsh and his lawn green with envy. In Maplewood, Peter Gadara, News 11.
Coming up next on News 11 Sports, a report from Phoenix on a Gopher turned Cardinal.
And Frank Viola pitches for a milestone, his 20th victory this season. We'll tell you how he fared next.
Where did 300,000 Americans who used to own GM cars go last year? Where else? Where can you get cash back plus option package savings on Mercury Cougar, Mercury Sable, and Mercury Topaz? Plus, get cash back on Mercury Tracer. Where else? 4 great ways to save, and that's before you make your best deal. So where do you get values like these? Where?
Take a load off your feet now. Come on, trekking. You never know who you're gonna meet now when you go trekking. Ooh, it's fun. It's not a race. Ride along at your own pace.
Come ride on the American Lung Association of Minnesota's Bike Trek and Track. For a free brochure, call 1-800-642-LUNG.
Come on, trekking.
Right now is a great time to pick up a great deal on a Nissan hardbody truck, because Nissan dealers are closing out the 88s with dirt cheap prices on 4x4s, king cabs, two-wheel drives, even hardbody specials. It's also your last chance to get up to $700 cash back, including cash back from the dealer.
We're going to have to wait for just a moment for word on baseball because we are going to talk basketball.
Yeah,
Late
we just got
breaking
this
news.
off the wire, and I haven't had a chance to make a call to confirm it or anything, but the Star Tribune is reporting that the former University of Minnesota basketball coach Bill Musselman has agreed to become the Timberwolves head coach. They are quoting a reliable source. It's a copyright story in tomorrow's paper, and it says that Musselman may be named coach as early as this week coming up. So we'll have to check on that a little bit tomorrow. Frank Viola, what a tough night for him, huh? The Twins have scored only 12 runs in their last 6 games, and that was one of the problems tonight. They only scored 2 against Texas. A gopher ball also did Frank Viola in. He did not win number 20 tonight. Texas wins at 3-2. They've beaten the world champions 3 straight now at the Dome. Frank pitched pretty good. He had 7 hits. He struck out 10, but it just wasn't good enough. Viola with a strikeout of Pete Incaviglia. 4 times he K'd Incaviglia tonight. 10 strikeouts, a season high. John Christensen with the double here gave the Twins a 2-0 lead as Herbeck scores. 2-1, Twins ahead. Watch the great catch here now by Ruben Sierra. We see the the Herbeck scoring on that play. Sorry about that. Now we're going to see this play. This is Sierra making a catch. Tommy Herr was at first base. He probably could have scored if he had not made the catch, and the Twins hung on to the early lead. But then Steve Buechele, 2-run homer off Viola. That did him in the 7th inning. Frank Viola then lost the ball game when the Twins couldn't bring in the lead runner in the 9th. They had a runner on, no outs, and then Gaetti pinch hitting ends the ball game with a pop-up, and the Twins lose it by a score of 3-2. They've scored only 4 times in the last 3 games against the Rangers. So no ground made up today, and we're running out of time. Twins have only 40 games left in the season. That number could have been down to 8 had they beaten Texas tonight. Because Oakland lost to the Red Sox for the 3rd straight day today, Todd Benziger drives a double off the monster at Fenway, scoring a run. Boston scored 4 times in the 1st inning. Oakland chipped their way back. Ron Hasse with a home run off Oil Can Boyd. Carney Lansford had hit one before him, and Oakland was back in it at 4-3. Red Sox, however, put it away when Dwight Evans triples off Marty Barrett, or triples home Marty Barrett, I should say. Ellis Burks and Mike Greenwell had 2 RBIs apiece. Wade Boggs 3 hits, and the final was 7-5. The Red Sox do the Twins a favor, but they can't capitalize tonight, and the lead remains at 8. Other scores: Detroit a winner. New York pitchers have given up 59 earned runs in their last 8 games. Seattle bombs them tonight. Paul Molitor 3 hits for Milwaukee. Baltimore 2 runs in the bottom of the 11th to win that game. Kansas City wins. George Brett 3 hits. National League, no score at L.A. in the 3rd. Nolan Ryan lost a perfect game in the 5th. Also ended up losing the ball game. Cincinnati a winner. Cubs over Atlanta, and San Francisco beats Philadelphia. Well, first the Vikings conquered the Bears in Sweden. Now they're in the desert of Arizona looking to shoot down the Phoenix Cardinals. Steve Carroll heads our crew in Phoenix, and tonight has a story of a Cardinal player who gets a kick out of the game, a game he once played back here in Minnesota.
During the early 1980s, Jim Gallery established himself as one of the best kickers ever to play for the Minnesota Gophers. Now the Morton, Minnesota native is in the pros and trying to make a name for himself as the Cardinals' top kicker.
And every chance you get to, to play, it's a pressure kick. So that is one point that you really don't like. But, just being a professional football player, I guess, is a plus.
Competition for the job is fierce, and Jim knows that he can't miss too many field goals if he's going to stay with the Cards. So far, he's been alternating with the other guys in camp, and he's really looking forward to tomorrow night's game against the Vikes.
As a little kid in Minnesota, you're always a Viking fan, and it just comes with nature, I guess. Playing at the University of Minnesota, always growing up in Minnesota, you grow accustomed to being a Viking fan. We're looking forward to it. National televised game. Everyone back home will see it. My mother and father and brothers and sisters. It'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Jim will only be doing the kicking off tomorrow night when he tees it up against the team he grew up cheering for. And we'll have that game for you right here on TV 11 starting at 7 o'clock. In Phoenix, Steve Carroll, News 11 Sports.
Steve was kind of jumping up for joy there at the end, but we will have the game tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here on Channel 11.
Thank you, Randy. Still ahead tonight, where do you turn if you've been a victim of crime?
Many victims don't know about all of their rights, and now there's a place for them to turn. That's next on The Extra.
They're coming from the cities, and they're coming from the farms. They're coming 'cause they want to be there. It's getting time to gather at the fine get-together, the great Minnesota State Fair. They're coming with their families, and they're coming with their friends. They're they're coming for the fun they're gonna share. It's the grandest show of all. It's the one that people call the Great Minnesota State Fair.
They're testing a pretty hot piece of equipment here. Bryant's new thinking gas furnace. It's got an electronic brain that constantly adjusts its own performance, making it the quietest, most efficient Bryant ever. And after all these tests, you can be sure it'll keep your home comfortable for a long, long time, because Bryant's got the right stuff to last.
In Elk River, call Heasley's Heating and Air Conditioning. In Owatonna, Owatonna Heating, or call The Connection.
There's no doubt your car's the hardest working member of your family.
I'm driving all day, yeah, I gotta do my work. I got to work, gotta do my work.
That's why your car deserves Fina.
Not making my pay, not going my way. Gotta work, ooga chugga ooga. Yeah, baby.
Fina carries every grade that ensures each car gets the gas it runs best on. The hardest working member of your family. Your car's got a friend at Fina.
Things are really hopping at your Hyundai dealer. Because it's the Hyundai Make and Tracks clearance, we're clearing out all the 88 Excels. Each one's loaded with more than 70 standard features at prices starting as low as $56.50. Plus, right now, we're making some great deals. But hurry, during the Hyundai Make and Tracks clearance, you have to step lively. Test drive the durable Hyundai Excel at Harold Hyundai and White Bear Hyundai.
Tonight on News 11 Extra, a service from the state government you've probably never heard of. It's one that's helping victims of crimes fight for their rights, and so far hundreds of people have found help through this service. News 11's Dennis Stauffer reports on the tragedy of one woman and how the Crime Ombudsman Service changed her life.
But work on getting the heel strength.
Joni Colesrud has an artificial leg and must go through regular therapy sessions to learn how to use it. Her own leg had to be amputated after she was shot by her estranged husband when he came to pick up their 2 children for visitation and brought a gun.
I saw it, and my instinct was to turn and run. And so that's what I did, and then I heard the noise. I felt my leg explode, and then it got hot, and then I felt the pain.
It was something he had threatened to do. The attack has left Joni crippled for life. Another shot severely scarred the shoulder and face of her son, Chad. Still another missed her daughter, Nicole. Yet, shortly after the crime in January of '87, a crime witnessed by neighbors, Ole Colesrud was free on bail. He underwent psychiatric evaluation, while Joni, fearing for her life, went into hiding.
Yeah, while he was in St. Peter, he said that he was going to finish the job. I was paying rent on a place that I couldn't go live because he was access and free to walk those streets. And you have to try to be cool about it because you don't want your children to end up being basket cases from it either.
After almost a year and still no trial, Joni contacted a little-known state agency called the Minnesota Crime Victims Ombudsman's Office.
Crime Victims Assistance?
This office put pressure on, and within 5 weeks, a plea bargain had sent Ole Colesrud to Stillwater State Prison.
This agency was created by state lawmakers in 1986 to enforce the newly drafted Crime Victims Bill of Rights. It's still the only agency of its kind in the country.
It's an agency which has the authority to investigate other state agencies and officials, and it has developed considerable clout in just 2 years.
Sometimes all I have to do is call an attorney's office, for instance, or a police officer, and leave the name of this agency and my name, and the victim calls and reports to me that they are now getting appropriate treatment and it has changed for them.
Joni now does volunteer work for the office from time to time. It's a way to say thanks and to help get the word out to other people like herself who may need help. She says she has just 3 years to decide what to do with her life. Ole Colesrud is due for parole as early as 1992, and she says it would be much harder to run away from him again.
Dennis Stauffer, News 11, St. Paul.
Joni's story will be featured in a Life magazine article this fall. For more information about the Crime Victims Ombudsman's Office, you can call 642-0397. And that will do it for us. Thank you very much for joining us.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Sunday night at 7, the Vikings are going to stir up some feathers in Phoenix. Fire up for a great night of football as the new season gets into gear. Players jockey for position, and the quarterback controversy continues. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Phoenix Cardinals, Sunday at 7, followed by News 11, right here on TV 11.
At Kemp's, we never know when the inspiration for a unique ice cream flavor will strike us. This summer, it's peaches and cream, a delicious limited edition ice cream from Kemp's.
To make a superior biscuit, Hardee's relies on advanced technology, like our automatic buttermilk processor. Heavy equipment. Meticulously formulated components. At Hardee's, our biscuits are made totally from scratch by the most complex piece of machinery known. Hardee's Rise and Shine biscuits. Get them with steaming hot sausage gravy in our biscuit and gravy platter. It's the least we can do to win you over.
It's time.
Come drive a Mazda.
It's year-end clearance time. Time to get the deal of the year on a new Mazda. And factory-to-dealer cash incentives can add hundreds to your savings on a Mazda truck. It's time. Time to clear out all the 88s. Mazda's year-end clearance time.
Come drive a Mazda. Do it now.
See your Mazda dealer in Richfield, Brooklyn Center, White Bear, St. Paul, and Minnetonka.
At Kemp's, we've been working hard to make our new frozen yogurt 97% fat-free. Kemp's low-fat frozen yogurt in 4 natural fruit flavors, so smooth and refreshing, you won't believe it's only 80 calories a serving.
The Olympics, only on NBC, only on TV 11.
Putting on the head. We listen to the radio and shake down every hit. Just mouth the words and move it to the tune that fits. Yeah, putting on the hits. Oh, pick your song and live along. Putting on the hits.
It's Putting on the Hits, the show that makes you the star you always wanted to be. With our host, Alan Fawcett, and our celebrity judges, Mel Carter, Ken Osmond, and Tina Yothers.
Look in the mirror.
Putting on the Hits is brought to you in part by Lifesavers Roll Candy. Lifesavers give you great flavor for less than 10 calories each. Now, here's the